right here, sing for the few.
The game is yours to play now.
The light provides.
This is Eventide Radio.
You know, in the Dark Ages, we didn't have entertainment. We had to wire effects head just to listen to Eventide Radio. Dark times, brother. But, yeah, we did pass the time by banking rooms.
Hello and welcome back to Eventide Radio. This is a fan-made Destiny podcast where we have roundtable discussions about a variety of different topics concerning the popular video game franchise. At its core, the show is by having in-depth discussions about the game from a variety of different perspectives. I'm your host, Scotty, and with me are my co-hosts, Rob and Mapador, and today we have even more unfortunate news to talk about. Our last episode was pretty doom and gloom. We're talking about the final live service update for Destiny 2, and now we are talking about how Bungie is laying off half of their employees. So it just keeps getting worse. They are getting rid of half of the in-house team, right? And that's not even including all of the contractors and remote workers and things like that. So the full extent, it could be even worse than we're aware of. And it is not completely impossible that Bungie as a studio eventually does not exist anymore. So I normally start with Rob, but Map, I know you are pretty passionate about this topic, so I'm going to open it up to you. How are you feeling?
I mean, I'm very passionate about this because I see it across all parts of the industry, not just gaming, but in general entertainment and media, film and TV, and as I've previously complained about, of C-suite and high-up people making decisions who aren't, and the people making those decisions are not creative people. They don't understand the creative process. They're there to make money, and that's it, and they don't really care, and they just kind of ruin it for the people who are making the creative thing and the people buying or playing or watching or consuming whatever the creative thing is, and it does kind of it just gets under my skin a lot.
That's fair.
And I think it just needs to change completely. This sort of thing just shouldn't be happening. I mean, I'm sure we'll go into it more, but not only there have been layoffs at Bungie, there are layoffs in other gaming companies and places this week alone. Obviously, Bungie is the biggest story here with half of the workforce. So basically, the whole Destiny team has gone to the point where there is a PC performance issue with Destiny 2 that has affecting some rigs and PC builds. That's only sort of been discovered since the Moments of Triumph update has come out, and the Destiny 2 team's response is, we're going to look into it, but we can't promise a fix because everyone has gone. So the hot fix that was going to come out Thursday, and I think there was going to be a TWID. That's just been delayed, so we didn't have one this week. So yeah, that performance issue could be a thing. I know DMG's Dylan's still there. I know that. I know the narrative lead, Alison is her name.
Alison Lures, I think.
Correct me if I'm wrong there. Yeah, she's still there. I did see a few people on my timeline saying that they're still there, but most of the people that you would know as a community that we would know as devs and whoever in those positions.
The narrative lead is still there?
Yes, Alison is still there.
Interesting.
That is what I've seen. The internet's reaction is that is the last small atom of coke that Destiny might have something in, I don't know, 10 years' time or something Destiny related, because she is still there. I mean, however, I think she did a very good job with Destiny, and I think they've kept her on because they want her to work on whatever project they work on, whether it's marathon related and I think they just were like, you did very well with the Destiny story. We didn't know where we were taking it, and you were steering it in a good direction. story-wise,
right.
Can you stay on? I don't know. I'm not there.
No,
That's
you're
just me
probably
guessing.
right.
I don't think it's anything Destiny related at all that they've kept her on. I think that's just me. That's just me being realistic here. But I think she did a very good job with the story. So I'm happy that she's still there.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad for Dylan DMG still being there. But I can't imagine how they feel that all their friends and co-workers that they've known for a very long time they don't get to work with anymore. So I'm very I'm quite pissed off, in a very bitter mood about it, and it's fucked, really. This is just
you're right, though.
We're going to see this.
Yep.
We're going to see this more and more. And what's bad is each time layoffs happen, I know we as a Destiny community have been very vocal and passionate and angry about this happening. But we're going to see other companies that this is going to happen to, with, not that they don't have fans, but they're not going to be as passionate about, because obviously Destiny being a live service, you're very into it. Whereas with companies, and this isn't to knock them, it's just how things are. If you're a company that just publishes a game, it's not live service, like a normal game, and you don't hear from them for a bit, do you? They're probably working on something. Those studios are being closed as well. Mass layoffs are happening throughout the gaming industry. It's seemingly in free fall. And we're going to see this more and more and more and more in the future. And each time, people are going to not react because it'll just become normal. And that's
well, I think the general consensus, this is one of those where it's like a very broad statement that I'm sure makes some people cringe, but in general, it seems like we're heading towards some kind of quote unquote crash in the gaming community. Where it's I agree. Games have gotten so bloated in terms of budget and scope and actual, what are we trying to do? And to your point, Map, to C-suites are just they're getting way overpaid for their actual input to the game. And, that's a whole corporate America problem that I think is not a problem that we're going to solve in our little podcast where we talk about a shooter, but ultimately it is a pattern that is seemingly getting more and more egregious as time has gotten on. And I think it's almost poetic that GTA 6 is coming out at the end of this year, and that's going to be, I think, kind of the weird inflection point where there's already a lot of people incredibly pissed off about its pricing structure and that there's no actual physical disc with the hard copy that you buy and all of that drama. But I think ultimately that is sort of the epitome of what is wrong with the gaming community right now, of how expensive, how long they've taken to create, how big their budgets are, and just ultimately it might come out and it's just this bloated mess of a large game that isn't very good overall, but still does really well in sales, and then is okay, that's just what gaming is now. And then I think what's going to happen is you have all these huge companies have just kind of blown out from underneath. You've got Bungie and Microsoft just closed all of these companies, and then I think what's going to happen, maybe naively, is you're going to start having all these small indie devs rise from the ashes that are startups from companies of all these people that were laid off, where it's you have genuine talent here that hopefully can find a new job. But I also don't blame them if this is maybe you've been in the gaming world for the last 10 years and you're just I don't want to do this anymore. This is way too stressful. I'm not saying the tech industry as a whole is much more secure. It's pretty stinking volatile as well. But I could see if you've been a dev for the last 10, 15, 20 years, even 5 years, you're just totally jaded by everything and you swap to something completely different after this.
Well, it's not stable.
Right.
It's not stable at all. And you'd have trust with issues with working in that environment.
Yeah.
And
so
I don't blame people. It's they've input through the
so
shit.
I think gaming as a whole is going in this weird direction, but it's still nice to see you've got your Slay the Spire 2 and some of these smaller games coming out of the woodwork that have been incredibly successful. And you've got companies like Embark, which have been this sort of I don't know, insert some biblical parable, if you will, but the little guy coming out of nothing the David versus Goliath thing, because there really is, it's unfair, but you're inevitably going to make comparisons between Arc Raiders and Marathon, and one of those games clearly won out versus the other, and probably clearly cost significantly less than the other, and so this is going to be decided in the public opinion, of course, but games have just gotten way too expensive and way too large in scope and just kind of generally shitty, because it's trying to please too many people but not actually make a good game. And I think we're heading towards some kind of collapse, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, things aren't looking good.
No, it could not look worse, actually.
And you brought up a good point up too, Map, is we're just going to get to a point where it's going to be the norm, where you're like, oh, that company's gone, oh, that company's gone, and it's it's not even going to phase anybody anymore. But it's it's crazy to think about the idea of a company like Bungie, who is just they've been around kind of forever, and obviously when Halo came out, that still touches people in terms of what that game means to them. We've talked about it off and on in this podcast as well, and it's the thought of a company like Bungie just disappearing and fading off. They're not closing their doors yet, but it's just how can you walk away from this not feeling something is going to happen where it will probably exist in name only pretty soon. And I hate to say that, and my heart goes out to all those people that still work there. And I'll just throw this out there. It's probably a good idea to start updating your resume. And I know that sounds really bleak and kind of like an asshole, but that's just what it looks like is happening right now. When you watch half your coworkers get walked out on a Thursday, you go home and update your resume that night. I've been there before.
But based, I understand as well, based on what you're saying, based on the fact that they weren't told that it was ending its live service. They weren't told that. I think some were told, but the majority of people were just kept on working. It's they were still putting up pillars in the house as the second floor's burning down.
Well, the only thing that kind of weirds me out is, and this became kind of mysterious to me once the patch actually dropped, is we got so much stuff. This feels even larger than what we would have gotten in an expansion in terms of number of kind of swathing changes and updates. I have trouble believing that the writing wasn't on the wall in terms of wow, they're asking us to update a lot of things all at once. Why are they asking us to do this if not for being...
I think that the blockages, the red tape just kind of vanished for that bit of time, and people that's why you had to tweet the now very infamous tweet from TMG saying that the team was because I don't know exactly the ins and outs of his job, but I imagine he was talking to devs and communicating with people. What are you working on? We're doing SRL. Cool, that's coming out shortly. Oh, cool, you're doing the Moments of Triumph thing. There's all this some of this armor set. Cool, you're doing that. Oh, we're doing Pantheon 2. That's got the the Callus fight. It's got Argos in it. Great. Wow, we're cooking.
Right.
I'm going to post that tweet. So yeah, I don't blame those people for. I imagine they just thought, wow, the people are, softening up a bit. Well, I imagine some people are feeling a bit uneasy about it. I think some of the stuff was done last minute since them finding out after the announcement, all the armor sets in Moments of Triumph, all the race armor set. That was obviously going to be Eververse stuff. That was going to be in future seasons, or the Halloween stuff that was thrown into Eververse. All that stuff, I imagine, was going to be for Eververse, or a lot of it, and then it was thrown into Legendary Marks.
But the folks working on the final narrative, kind of things are just kind of dying down, and it looks like
I think Nolan North. He said something recently. I saw something recently. Someone said, I haven't done those cutscenes, those last cutscenes. I haven't done them yet. Maybe I've been putting them off. Don't know. So I don't know the dialogue. But I think someone asked Nolan North about it, and he said he recorded stuff a month ago.
Wow. So it was like very abrupt.
So it
Okay.
yeah. So it's seemingly, because a lot of people do recordings from their own home now since COVID, so it's not like you have to organise people coming in. I imagine the stuff with Lodi was done a while ago because some of it is mocapped, and that would have probably been Shattered Cycle stuff. But then some of the other bits, like the more not tacked on in a bad way, but it's the end of the game sort of stuff. That I imagine that was just quickly recorded.
Right,
like, around
but
that time.
being recorded
again. No actual.
Right, being recorded, but then
of that.
actually like writing the actual like quests to go find those items, and then actually like writing that stuff like that iterative.
Well, I imagine it just kind of. I imagine what happened was as soon as that was announced that the game was being end of life service, that all the people working on other shit that was coming up in the future was then just immediately thrown all onto this. Like people doing like future quest lines and the raid and dungeon team. I imagine they were just thrown on something else quickly.
Yeah.
Obviously, not everything is transferable skills, but I imagine where they were just quickly thrown on this in the last
Sure.
few weeks.
You have to imagine. Right, because the news, the part of the rumors or whatever is like there's a small subset of people that knew that this was the end, and they told you got to tell everybody else, right? But I can only imagine that Joe, who's on the visual effects team or the raid team, talks to Jim Bob, who is writing. Right, they maybe have lunch together, and he's writing like final dialogue that wraps up the story. Like those people talk to each other. Like it had to have been there had to have been at least some general idea that this moment of triumph thing at some point turned into the final release. That people had to have started putting all of those pieces together. In a way that was like, okay, going back to like the writings on the wall, where it's like, oh, they're having us take all of these art, like, oh, we're taking all of the raid and dungeon sets and putting them all out at once. Well, we talked like 3 weeks ago that we were going to spread this out over the next 2 expansions, but now we're doing this for Moments of Triumph. Oh, all these catalysts that we kind of had ideas for, oh, we're just doing all of them now. And then on top of that, like talking to whoever's writing the narrative stuff that's going to be the script for Nolan North or Brian, like those people talk at lunchtime, they talk at the water cooler, they send Slack messages to each other. Like I feel like there, beyond naivete, there had to have been some kind of like at least general idea, like this seems like it's probably the end, because it just with the size and scale, like I said, even at expansions, I don't think we've ever gotten just this much just stuff dumped all at once, like and knowing what their kind of delivery time is from like inception to putting it out there, I feel like the average employee probably started piecing things together, hopefully sooner rather than later. That's all. Like,
hopefully. I would assume so.
I mean, it doesn't make it any better. Like it's one thing to talk at the rumor mill. It's another thing for like that formal announcement to come out and everyone to read it and go, oh, like, no, this is literally the end. Because there may have been some like, oh, maybe that raid that we're working on for the next expansion, maybe we'll throw that out there at a later date. Like, again, there's sort of the idea of like, is this truly the end, or is this like, a soft end? We're not going to do any more expansions, but we're going to kind of slowly put more content out. Maybe that was kind of the idea too. We don't know what we don't know.
I just wish that they they got to finish the last raid, and so they could have done one final raid.
Yeah, especially because it had to have been probably pretty close to done, if not done.
I imagine it was done immediately this quickly because of the payout thing that was being spoken about. When Sony, I don't know the exact ins and outs, Scotty, I don't know if it's in the article you have up, but when Sony bought them, they had the 4-year thing I've forgotten the terminology.
Their final shares vested or whatever. Yeah,
that's it. And that happens. That happens
in like 2 weeks.
A few weeks. Yeah, so it was like we get them all out now, so then people can't do that. So I imagine that's why it was this sudden.
Yeah, I think so. Which seems really scummy.
I just wish we'd got. This is our last. This is our last. That. Rather than it just being going, oh, Desert Perpetual was the last raid. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish we got. Yeah. Because we're not those people who worked on the raid and dungeon, the raid and dungeon team, they're gone.
Yep, they're all gone.
That's it. Which is just crazy to me. Like some of the best content, or the best content in the game, and some of the best content in gaming. And I'm going to get some people saying, "Oh, whatever," right? It is some of the best content in gaming, right? I know you have raids in other games. I'm not saying that those are bad, but having it's more immersive. I feel it's the raids are more immersive in Destiny than other games, and there's just no replacement out there at all.
No.
Yeah.
And you've just thrown them out of the company. Bye bye. Yeah, I don't get it. I think the game would still make money if you went fuck the story, or like the actual content in that sense. We're just going to put out 2 raids a year.
Yeah, probably.
There's a lot of other things they could have done besides gutting the entire company and ending the game.
Like, I reckon, I'm not, obviously it's too late now, but I genuinely think if you went, right, we're not doing any more expansions or anything like that, we're doing light seasons, and I mean, when I mean seasons, I mean like a seasonal refresh. I don't actually mean like a seasonal story. I just mean there's like a battle pass.
Yeah.
That's it. And you, I don't know, do sandbox changes, and you added in a raid and a raid and a dungeon each year. I think people would still play the game. And I imagine it's just that it came down to this game makes money, right? I only think in the last year it wasn't making a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I think it was making a lot of money all throughout its life until maybe the last year. But the profit they were getting versus other live service products was not to the same amount that those other companies were getting. So that's why when we had this day after the layoffs, we had the PlayStation CEO says he wants to revitalize the market with live service games, right? People going, well, why you've just fucking canned Destiny 2? Why have you done that?
The one consistently successful live service game for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I know, and it is genuinely fucking mental to come out like, are you actually tone deaf? But one, it's we've just got rid of a competitor, even though they own it. I understand that, but it's something to compare it to that's a current product. If you've been a thing that has a certain quality, I know people are going to try and debate that. You don't have to compete against it. It's gone.
Right.
It's not getting updated. But it's we're going to make live service games that are cheap. They're cheap to make, cheap to run. That's it. So like mobile games. That's what it's going to end up with. Mobile games. Have you seen how much money mobile gaming makes? It's just they're like PNGs moving around the screen, and you click gems and sweets and shit. And I know. There's loads of others just that, than just those. But it's like we make a live service game that costs how much a month? $500,000 a month to pay the devs and keep it alive, right? But we're raking in $1 million a week, or even like millions a week because of the product. That's what they're trying to go for. That's what their push is. It's not for like big open world live service things. It also doesn't help that Microsoft bought what is it, King, the You know, when they bought Activision Blizzard, they bought Activision Blizzard King, so they get Candy Crush, all of that sort of thing. So Sony wants some of that as well.
Yeah.
So their live service games aren't going to be Destiny-like games. They're not going to be like Warframe. They're not going to be like World of Warcraft. They're not going to be like that. They're going to be shit. Shovelware, live service shit. I'm avoiding the word slop.
No, but you're dead. You're absolutely right. I think
Rant over.
No. I think you're right though, right? That is the okay. We've established this idea of live service games where you continually monetize and keep pumping out content. But to your point, it's always been kind of these big, grandiose World of Warcraft, Destiny, these big, expensive things. And World of Warcraft has the scale of number of people that play that just shadows everything else, and we don't need to talk about that because that's like too depressing. But ultimately, but I think you're right. I think the next era of live services, how cheaply can we make them, but still where it's like it's a console version of a mobile game barely, and I think you're absolutely right. That's kind of the direction that live service games are going to go, because they need to optimize profits at this point, and you're not doing that with things like Destiny, where it's so expensive to get them off the ground, and they are kind of a gamble, right? There have been a lot of quote unquote live service games that crumble within the first couple weeks or month, that shut studios down, and I think game companies don't want to do that anymore. But it's very clear that live service games have a market. You just have to get the right iteration of that product out. And that's probably why Destiny didn't have a future. But then that still leads into why, if you're going to be full on doom and gloom, just burn the place down, why leave the lights on for Marathon? That's the part that doesn't make sense to me, because I don't see how that...
I just think it's a contract thing.
It might
genuinely
be.
think it's a
You might be
contract
right.
thing. The Bungie when they bought, when Sony bought them, it was like, right, you've got Destiny, keep doing that. You've got another game coming up, Marathon. We want it to do well, and it's going to be it's going to be part of the PlayStation Studios thing. But it's a live service, so it's going to be on other platforms, obviously. And they're part of the contract, the deal maybe was that they're committed to make. I don't know, maybe the contract's online somewhere. I don't know, and I'm just talking out of my arse. I mean, I am anyway. But that they have to be committed. Part of the contract is Bungie are committed to Marathon for a certain amount of time.
It could be for a year. Yeah, I could see that.
Companies now are, this is obvious, but companies now is at a point where they just want to make money. That is it. Bigger companies, and we're going to see that even more with next gen, because next gen consoles are going to be too expensive. Making a PC is it's so expensive, like a decent PC, because of AI and things like that. And now consoles are going to be going up in price. So it's like we're going to be selling these consoles at a loss. We need to make as much money as we can.
Right. It's pretty stinking bleak, and I'm all for going back and playing. Everyone's got a Steam library of the last 5 years of games that they haven't touched because they've been playing Destiny. I think it's time we all start going back to our library of games we haven't played that are old and probably still perfectly good. And
the day when whoever is in charge of how Steam is run, I know obviously Gabe, is it Gabe?
Yeah,
Newell?
I think so. Yeah, Gabe Newell.
I don't know if he's in charge of every decision that Valve makes, but the minute some other person comes in, good fucking luck.
Yeah,
Valve fans, good luck, mate. Because
no, totally. He's definitely holding out for being the last bastion of reasonable gaming, and.
Well, I don't know about the Steam machine.
Well, but I think that's I don't think they anticipated it being that expensive. It's like everything else, where it's
no.
It's just procuring hard drives and RAM is just fucking impossible right now. And again, so it's everything's way too expensive. Games take way too long to come out and are way too expensive themselves, right? How long have we been waiting for Elder Scrolls 6? I think it was 8 years ago that it was announced at one of the E3s, and there hasn't been a lick of anything since then, because they realized that they just hyped themselves into a corner and they don't have anything. And it's just, there's I really do have hope for like the indie dev community and these smaller game companies where they can get things out. They're really inexpensive. They're not taxing. You don't need the latest and greatest PC to play them. I think that's going to be the other thing too, is like, I'm almost okay if we go back a generation in terms of like, not every game needs to be 120 frames per second, 4K, realistic graphics. Like,
I think part of the issue was the graphical push of
100%.
Like the 2010, that era where everyone was like, better graphics,
Right.
everything's got to look better. That's the push. Then was just better graphics.
But here,
I remember like enjoying games. Like I was getting into like the Mega Man series around that time. I really got into Mega Man, and I remember so many people were like, "Why are you playing that game? It's shit graphics." I'm like, "It's an old game. Like, of course, it's going to be pixels."
And if it's fun to play,
and
like
the push for then, the general public or the general audience for games was like better graphics. You don't hear that anymore. Thankfully, I think it kind of died with this gen.
Because I think people finally realize that it's not worth it because it's like because it's like textures are causing the games to just bloat
I'm wondering
inside.
if it died when Cyberpunk
Probably.
came out.
I think
I'm wondering if that was the game ish thing that where it was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, this isn't really worth it anymore. Like, it's just I mean, you go like Destiny 2 is it came out in 2017. Like, it's almost a 10-year-old game, and it still looks pretty good. Like, I think we should have settled with like 2018, 2016 level graphics and been content with that instead of pushing more and more and more on top of performance more and more and more to the point where it's like that seems like that's all that matters to certain people, and it's like we've lost sight of like what actually is important with games. And like, I know that you want the game to look pretty, but they've looked pretty for a while. And
it's the argument where, Scotty, you I'm sure you're familiar with this, where people I wasn't a huge fan of Pokemon Sword and Shield, right? I don't know how you felt about Sword and Shield.
I liked it, but that's another conversation.
I couldn't give two shits about how good a tree looked in that game, quite frankly. I just didn't enjoy the game. But the tree over in the wild area, being a level of quality that people didn't like, didn't have any impact on my experience playing the game at all, right? I didn't give a shit how nice the tree looked. I don't care. There were lots of other flaws with that game that I don't like, right? But the tree was not fucking one of them, and I don't know why people go about criticizing. This is the thing as well. When games come out and they get heavy criticism, that for a while was the thing of people going, the game doesn't look great. Look at this screenshot of the game where it's particularly looking not amazing in this corner. All right, cool. Yeah, it could be better, but the rest of the game has issues. Focus on that. The actual game itself, not the tree or the shrub.
I think with Sword and Shield, it's even more like egregious, just because the tree looked like shit, but it also ran like shit. And
yeah, like, no. That's part. But I mean, that's a separate thing. But a lot of the argument was tree bad. It wasn't like they were a separate. I think for a lot, but things like that where people actually criticize the game for like performance, then but I'm glad the graphics sort of thing seems to have died out in most games where a game comes out and people are like, well, the graphics are great.
The graphics look great. It's just, it takes forever for it to come out, and the size of the game is way too absurd, and then it runs like shit for the first 6 months.
I'm wondering what will happen when GTA 6 comes out, what the performance will be.
And that's the part that's
for most people.
Right. And I think that's what's frustrating to people is like these games come out and then they run like shit for the first year or 6 months, right? Like Cyberpunk, right? Didn't even run on PlayStation 4. So they had to refund people and take it off the shop for a while. And it's like, how can a game take this long to come out? And then when it comes out, it's like, did you even try it? Like, what do you do? Like,
I remember that. So, I don't know if you remember, Rob. This happened with The Witcher.
Yeah.
So when they showed off The Witcher gameplay, for The Witcher 3, sorry, years and years and years back, it looked way better than the actual game, and people got annoyed, right? It wasn't like a performance issue as far as I'm aware, but like all the demos they showed off looked very, very nice, right? Much better than the actual game. And there was an uproar about it, and people forget for some reason, because people do that for some game companies, they forget things. Like the amount of times I've seen someone bring up a thing that Bungie did or another company did, but then like another studio that will do something and it's like on the same level, and it's like people forget. I'm like, wow, okay, interesting.
Well, what's the famous one? The Aliens Colonial Marines on 360. That was another one where like the demos made it look incredible, and then it was like, oh, that was running on a really, really high end PC and not actually on console, and it just looked like shit. And people gave I think Gearbox made that. People gave Gearbox like shit for years for that.
I think so. Yeah. But when they showed off Cyberpunk, well, for one, whenever you see a demo, well, not E3 anymore, but like any sort of, it's the game, basically the game engine and the instance that it's running on is at max for that part of the game that they're showing off. It doesn't look like that for the rest of the game, but they've turned it up to max. It's not something that we could do as a consumer, but it's in-house that you can do. Not all game companies do this, and I'm not pretending that I know, but I know that companies do this. And Cyberpunk did that as well when they were showing off their gameplay for the first time. And I remember saying to people, there's no fucking way that will be like that at launch. It just won't. It won't look like that. It won't run like that. That's just not the game. Like, that's too advanced for what we have currently. And I remember everyone telling me, no, it's CD Projekt Red. You're talking out your ass. They're amazing. And then the game came out.
And then didn't even run on PlayStation 4, or barely did. And
No.
And like,
that's what I mean. Like, it wasn't going to, so don't make it for PS4.
Yeah, well, I mean, that kind of feels like they had signed some agreement that it was going to come out on those previous gen consoles or something. Like,
I've just realized we never dropped last gen.
No, Destiny made it all the way through PS4 and Xbox One's life, somehow, and never got dropped.
I'm wondering if dropping last gen would have helped the game at all.
That's where it kind of goes in the mystery. Yeah, what were the true development costs, and was the problem trying to have it run on?
Like, would it be cheaper?
We'll never know. Maybe something will come out, right? Like you'll get a Schreier article or Paul Tassi or something where what's amazing is those people still happen to know people that are still working at Bungie despite all the different layoffs. Like I don't know how that all goes, but that's crazy to me.
Tassi, I think you should start poker. He knew about the layoffs. When they refer, like, not the layoffs, sorry, like it closing. He knew about it early. Destiny ending service early. Obviously, he didn't say anything because he would have got people into a lot of trouble. And
imagine that's how you find out that you're probably going to get laid off. Is it gets leaked in a Paul Tassi article. Nothing against Paul Tassi. I think he's done a lot of good for the community, and I think he makes a lot of really good arguments. I don't necessarily agree with everything that he says, but like that's good. Like that, you're never going to agree with everything that everyone says, but I think he's been overall good for the community, and I think he is good about vocalizing things that I think some people struggle with trying to vocalize and actually get to the heart 100%. Of the matter on certain things.
He talks to devs as well.
Exactly. He's got more of a sympathetic cue in for some of the people that still work there, right? And so it's like, I like Paul Tassi, I like Jason Schreier. I think
we'd love to have you on, Paul,
yeah,
but
honestly,
you have an amazing poker face. You should do poker, because the fact that you kept that to yourself for managed to keep that to yourself. It just sucks. Like, I think I didn't realize that I was in the denial phase until Thursday when the layoffs happened, and then it was like, oh no, the layoffs actually are happening, and these people have lost their jobs, and this is kind of like, this isn't just like, oh, the end of the Destiny era. Like, I don't see how Bungie comes back from this, like in any meaningful way.
because I just don't have faith in Marathon. Like I was kind of hopeful when it first came out and was like, okay, maybe this can be a 2-game studio that can both of them can run. But then the numbers for Marathon just dropped so fast and have never really recovered. And I think now with the layoffs having happened, whatever
they
maybe
laid off Marathon people.
they laid off
It's not
Marathon
just
people, but I think that any hope they were going to have of like, oh, the people from the Destiny community are going to jump over to Marathon, like that is not going to happen when you have like crushed any chance that they had of any future Destiny game. They're just going to go play other stuff.
Well, that's the thing. It's they're aware that they've taken devs from Destiny to work on Marathon. Like, that's a given. I mean, that would happen in any game studio. Like, that's just how companies and work is. Like, we need more people on this product that is going to launch. That thing is already out there and running.
Right.
Can we have help? That's a given. But to then think that the community are then going to go play that product, that is very different. I don't think the devs for this. Again, this is a management.
Oh, 100%.
Issue.
Yeah, I agree.
But to not think, wow, we might piss people off, the fan base that we might share with our second game, the sort of Bungie fan base.
Right.
How do you not have the foresight? Or maybe they did think about it and just thought, oh, we don't care. And about the brand image, I don't know.
Right. There may have been execs that were genuinely like naive, where it's like, doesn't matter what the product is, we're just going to slap the Bungie name on it and people will buy it. Like I think they thought it was something like that simple. Like we're just stupid dogs that will just eat whatever, we'll consume whatever product they give us. It's like, no, you built up a community for a very specific type of game that you just buried in the ground. They're not moving on to something else.
They saw the Destiny PvP community, saw them be passionate about the game and think, well, Destiny's going to be our main PvE offering.
Right.
And then Marathon will be the dedicated PvP offering. Obviously, Destiny PvP would still exist.
Right.
But I think they thought that was not only, and that's where they thought, we'll get some... We'll have 2 games dedicated mainly PvE, dedicated PvP, and both games have like a bit of each in them.
Right.
Like now that Marathon's getting its own PvE mode. It's like you should have done that on the free weekend, you Muppets.
Yeah.
Have your new PvE game mode that you're going to do coincide with your free weekend.
Yeah.
Because if you don't add something new and you do a new season update and then make it free for a bit, no one's going to try it because it's nothing new. It's just a new season.
Right, exactly.
I feel like, I'm sorry, but I feel like that's just common sense.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, that is just common sense.
Yeah, it needed, and they may do another free
product that needs. We've got a paid product. We need to get some more audience into new players in. We've got a new season launching. Okay, but we've also got a new game mode launching, and we've seen a lot of people say that they try Marathon if it had some PvE game mode, because people might be too scared to try Extraction Shooter.
Right.
But we're not going to have the free weekend. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. They do another free weekend.
I could see them doing that, but I that doesn't take away the fact that you're right though. Like if you don't have something enticing for those free weekenders, that like they're not going to pay after they walk away from that. They're not going to pay $40 to go. Oh, it was good after all. It's like no, their mind was made up. Like it didn't push the needle or in any way. Like you didn't get any more players from that free weekend. Because it's just another extraction shooter in a lot of people's minds. Like that yeah, I agree. There should have been a PvE mode for people to try. Otherwise it's not okay, it's just a free weekend. Like that's it.
How do you feel, Scotty?
They added PvE to Marathon now. Now it exists. They kind of fixed it in that sense. Did they not include it in the
out.
I didn't think it was out yet. I don't think it was part of the free weekend though.
Oh, when was the free weekend?
It was like
the start of season 2.
Yeah, it was the week before Moments of Triumph dropped.
I swear it was out.
I didn't think the game mode was out yet. I didn't think the PvE game mode is not out yet, and they've been talking about it. It's like a...
Well, all right, I guess they added the I don't know what you call it, but like the where it's just one team and you can matchmake with 2 other people and load in, and
Marathon's new PvE mode launches July 21st.
Oh, I didn't know they were doing like a fully fleshed out thing. Because there's that mode now. What's it called? Survival, where it's just you and 2 other people versus like, CPU rooks and UESC and things like that.
Maybe that was like a test thing, because this is a solos, duos, or 3-player team will enter Cryo Archive, the hardest complex map in the game, but without other teams for PvP fights.
They have that, but not for Cryo Archive yet. They had it for other maps, I think, and it's cool. I don't. Maybe it was a test, but I think it kind of fixes the game for me in that sense. Like,
their attitude at the beginning, where it was like, this is not when there was a lot of just initial questions about Marathon, and it's like, is there going to be a PvE only mode? And they were pretty stubborn about it at the beginning, where it's like, no, we're never going to have a PvE mode, and this game's not for you if it's not what you're interested in. It's like, I think they shot themselves in the foot a long time ago, and I think they were, I would say, pretty arrogant and naive to think that they were going to get away with having that attitude. I think it really, I know 6 months, a year ago, they weren't anticipating on Destiny shutting down, but I think it was a very stupid idea for them to not have the foresight to think, that if people were asking about a PvE mode, that should have been something they were a little more open to at the beginning versus like adding it after the fact, when it's like, people talk about, they maybe have a year, going back to what you were talking about, Map, where it's like, there's probably some contract term with Sony and Marathon and how long it's going to last. Maybe it's going to be a year, and maybe they're holding out that they're going to have their Forsaken or Taken King moment. I think that ship has sailed. I don't think it had a strong enough,
a year or 2 years, maybe.
I don't think it had a strong enough community at launch to get that.
Yeah, So I made like a little Marathon like fan edit based on like the cinematics and stuff, and I posted it on my Instagram account, and I got a lot of traction, and I was like, oh, this is super cool, and it was interesting seeing a lot of the comments on it, because I think a lot of people were like, wow, the art direction in this game is so cool, and I totally would have played it if it was a single player story-driven campaign thing.
Yeah.
And everyone was just like, I would love this game if it wasn't an extraction shooter.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate.
I'm partly surprised it wasn't like that in its offering.
Yeah.
Maybe originally. I still think there could have been a world where you had Destiny as like the big MMO, massive multiplayer game, and then alongside it they made this slightly smaller in scope single player FPS that kind of followed the trend that Doom did with Doom and Doom Eternal, where it's like, oh, you're taking some old IP and bringing it up to modern FPS with all the bells and whistles, but kind of like having that deep, rich storytelling and mythos that was created with the original Marathon. Like, I think that would have been awesome, and I would have been 100% on board with a single player Marathon revitalizing an old IP that, like, especially now that Bungie had this rich team of storytelling, narrative people, visual effects, cutscenes. Like, you could have made like the most badass FPS that could have competed with like Doom Eternal in terms of like getting that community on board, because there's still a huge community of people that love the old Marathon games, and I think people would have been totally on board with a single player Marathon game, and they just
I can't lie, the first time I heard about Marathon was when the Bungie 30th anniversary pack dropped, and I was like, oh, those things are from,
I think it's a lot of time first people heard about Marathon.
It's very old. Yeah, I say very old. It's not that old, but
well, I mean, relative to a lot of stuff in the gaming community, it's pretty ancient.
Well, yeah.
So, if you're looking at the entire time span of video games,
gaming
pretty old.
Timeline-wise,
right.
It's old,
right.
But in terms of real life, it's not that old.
Right, exactly. That's fair. I just everything. It's like it's so easy to look back at everything now and all the decisions that were made and all the choices that were made, and it's so obvious that none of those should have been made, and it's just this is where we're at, and it's sort of the end.
Those people shouldn't have lost their jobs.
Yeah,
well, it's just the thing that it's just we will never get those people working on a product again. Those
not together. Yeah,
just probably we just won't.
Yeah.
They'll all be going their separate ways. We won't have the raid and dungeon team making a raid anymore. Obviously the game's over. Yes, I get that. This is separate. I think the game ending is separate from those people not working there anymore.
Right.
I am more pissed off about this than the game ending because it's like, well, if the game ends, they can make a Destiny 3 or they could make a Destiny story game or just a different product. It doesn't have to be a live service thing,
right?
Or like a slimmed down live service where it is literally just story and raid, and or something like that. And people, like how older games they'd always get like a multiplayer mode, even though they weren't a multiplayer game. Like Gears of War and things like that,
right?
Or I think what's that Warhammer game that came out the other year that did quite well?
Oh yeah, Space Marine 2 or something. I don't know.
That's it. That has a multiplayer aspect of it, but you're not buying Space Marine for the multiplayer thing,
right?
But like, say if they did a Destiny game like it, but there's a raid and that's it, then the game ends, and it's like people, maybe something like that would happen. So I was more not hopeful or like coping or whatnot. Right. It was just like, game has ended. I'm sad. Maybe we'll get something in the future Destiny related with those same people. Well, not now.
Or hell,
because they got.
If we learn that those people got moved over to Marathon and Marathon was going to try to shift to have more like raid type stuff in it other than just that cryo event. Like, okay, okay, they're trying to what made Destiny work? They're trying to put it in Marathon by adding these raids and dungeon type things. But no, they just gutted all of those people, and that's
The only thing I can see, the only thing, and this is like for cope people out there, right, is they hire them back as contract workers.
That's such insulting.
No, I know,
bullshit.
But that's what's been going on in
of course.
the creative industry, is that they lay off a load of people. And then in a year's time, they go, look, we're working on the sequel, or we're working on this. Can you come back as contract worker? So we can pay you less.
Right. Not offer you benefits or not as good of benefits.
I'm not saying that I want them to do that. I'm just saying that will... That's probably...
It would be cost-cutting effective measure.
I like another Destiny product, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Yeah.
If a lot of the people we saw gone were then just hired back as contract workers.
Play moments of triumph. Pour one out, spill one out for the Bungie employees that have lost their jobs. May all of you land on your feet and find something, and
I fully believe you will.
Yeah.
There will be another thing in the future that will be even greater than Destiny.
Yeah.
10 years later, I mean,
some of the most clear, talented devs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's so much talent there.
Yeah.
And just so many incredible people who have made incredible things, and they will continue to make incredible things. I'm 100% certain of that. So,
but if you quit the industry because of this, I completely understand.
Yes,
and support your decision.
If you want to go live on a farm off the grid, I also go for it.
Farming, a man of your talent.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's also like, thank you for the last 15 years or however long you were there contributing. You should be very proud of the work that you've done and the product that you've made. And this is not just for these recent people, like anyone that got laid off in the last 5 years due to all the different bullshit, right? The post Lightfall, post Final Shape stuff. Like each time one of those has happened, it's like, I'm so sorry. Maybe the right thing to do should have been to boycott playing the game or something. I don't know, but it's like, all of you, thank you for what you've done and the art that you have created. I think it's safe to say
the world that has been made, that I've been able to be in for the last 12 years.
The thing that we've all gotten to experience and share and play, and the fact that we're here talking about this is like a a testament to the impact that this game has had on all of us. This is not us being like, we're not ever going to have another podcast. Don't look at this as like the end of the podcast. We actually have ideas of more things that we want to do that are not necessarily Destiny related, but video game related. So you won't be not hearing from us in the future, but you know, this is to all the devs who maybe listen to this podcast, all 3 of you or whatever. Thank you for what you've done, and please at least be proud of the work that you've done, and you know, thank you. So
100%. I echo all. Well, that was very well said. I can't say that better. So I echo Rob's sentiment.
Yeah.
Without further ado, then, gentlemen, we will talk next time. We'll talk Monument of Triumph and shift gears in that sense.
Yeah.
And I want to do. We were talking about some ideas. Won't spoil it, but before we were recording, some ideas on doing some tributes to the game as a whole and things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we will talk soon, everyone.
Bye.
You can put this voice recording away and go on with your life, because you and I both know you'd have me yapping in your ear for the rest of your days.
Want to further the discussion? Get in touch with us at any of our Twitter handles, all of which can be found at our podcast description.